So I was going to show you how to make this Halloween ghost lamp, but unfortunately it broke right as I was about to complete it. I did end up salvaging it, so I'm still going to walk you through it because you can still make this lamp minus the breaking part. So I make the ghosts with gauze, and I also had some fabric left over from another project I was doing. If you got some fabric scraps laying around, those work great because we're going to paint it anyway. I'm going to be using some wire, and I wanted to do the blue fairy lights. I've got some resin in the corner there that I'm going to be using, some cotton balls, and also some tin foil. And this is the pretty piece that I ended up breaking. So this is the gauze. I'm just going to be ripping it apart. I don't want to cut it, so no scissors. I want it to have that torn look, and I'm just going to do a few of these pieces. Then I'm going to add some color to this cup, and I went way too heavy with the yellow, but I ended up adding more color to it. So if you don't get the right shade, you can always add more to change it. I'm going to add the gauze to it, just stir it around a little bit. I'm going to take the paper towel just to get some of that excess off of there. It'll dry quicker that way. And here I'm adding some brown to it. I'm just going to disregard the cup. I'm going to put it in my hand. I'm just going to lightly roll it in my hands. I don't want to completely cover it. I just want to change the tone a little bit. And a little bit more. This time I'm using black. And I'm definitely getting closer to what I was looking for. Here I'm using some wire. I'm going to do it in kind of a spiral because I'm going to have the lights wrapped around it. And that's going to be my base. This is what I'm going to build the ghosts onto. And make sure that the fabric is really dry, because if you end up pouring resin on paint that's not completely dry, it's going to mix with the resin and it's going to make it cloudy. And then I'm going to add some foil, and that's going to be the base for the ghost. Just kind of trying to get an idea of how high it is. And I'm going to put the lights where the eyes are going to be. I'm going to glue those on. Then I'm going to add the gauze to it. And I am going to be going over the eyes, but it's okay because I'm going to cut holes into the fabric once I'm all done. And I'm going to glue that in place. You can use the tip of your hot glue gun to kind of shape everything into place. I'm just going to keep adding more pieces to it. I want this to be pretty solid before I put the resin on there. And then at the bottom here, I'm going to be putting the cotton on and gluing that into place too. Straight white highlights. Here I'm cutting out the lights. I'm outlining the light black, and you can see how immediately it looks so much brighter than the other side. I'm going to take some of that excess wire and I'm going to stick it in the bottom area there. I just need a little bit of slack for the bottom. So I'm using a plastic divider and I'm going to seal off the bottom, and I'm just using hot glue. Make sure that you cover every piece of it, because if there's even a small opening, the resin's going to seep right through. I'm just going to keep going over it with the hot glue. I'm going to do the same thing on the top part of it too. I'm going to mix my resin. It's equal parts. I'm going to pour it into the cup and I'm going to stir it up for about 3 minutes. What I'm doing here is trying to get rid of the air bubbles before I pour it in, because I'm only doing that bottom area where the cotton is and the lights, so I know I'm not going to be able to reach it to pop any of those bubbles. And I'm checking for any areas where the resin's seeping through, and it looks like it's doing good. Gonna pour it in. Once the resin has hardened, I'm gonna take some cotton and I'm gonna glue it all around, and the battery packs too. Make sure you can still get to the batteries, and of course the on and off switch. Then I'm going to make a lock for it, and I'm using Cosclay. You can use any kind of clay, polymer, air dry. You can even buy a little lock. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to put it in the oven, bake it, and then I'm going to cover it with some acrylic paint. And I've got this chain here that I'm wrapping around, and I'm going to add the lock to it, and that's the last time this is one piece. After that I break it. And so at first I was going to just throw it away, but the way that the glass broke, I think it's because it was covered with resin. It just kind of spider webbed. It didn't break, it didn't shatter. So I figured I could still use it, and it's just gonna appear as though it's broken glass. Well, it is broken glass, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm gonna make it look like the ghosts are breaking out, I guess. And then I'm just gonna hot glue that on there, and I'm going to cover that with some more resin just to make sure that there really isn't any sharp pieces or any pieces that can still fall off of there. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm gonna leave this. So when I came back to it the next day, I wasn't happy with it. I felt like it still needed something. So I'd said it's gonna look like the ghosts are breaking out of this, so I really needed to have some that were already flying away. And so I'm going through that whole process again. I'm adding some wire, and I'm gonna be painting the gauze, putting it in the cup, stirring it around, letting that dry. And then I'm gonna just glue it onto the wire and just bend all those pieces into place. And those are gonna be looking a little bit more flowy because they're in flight. And the only thing I couldn't do was add any more lights to it because there was no way to weave it into anything. But that's okay because the focal point is still those main ghosts in the center there. So that totally works. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and it makes you realize that you don't always have to throw something away. Sometimes you can make something better if you mess up, and hopefully I did. And thank you so much for watching. See you soon.